My daughter Ariana, who was very young at the time, was upset one evening, and when I put her to bed that night, I tried to get her to open up to me and ask me what was going on. And it took several minutes. She was crying, and she finally just blurted out, "Daddy, why did you cheat on Mommy?" I had a decision to make at that moment. I could lie, I could blame her mother, I could do any number of things, or I could tell the truth. And I told the truth. Appropriate for her young age, but I told the truth. Let me tell you, when I walked out of that room, I realized a freedom and a lightness that I had not experienced in years. And it was that moment when I began to realize that in an unexpected way, the only time a sinner is free is when he admits he's a sinner. The only time that we can actually begin to walk in freedom and liberty and joy is when we're not hiding things. I was afraid everywhere I went, someone was going to find out who I really was. Well, you know what? If you put out there who you really are, you can say, "Yep, that's who I am. That's what I've done." And guess what? God has no idea what you're talking about because he's forgiven and forgotten it long ago. And so I began to be open about it. I began to if someone wanted to know, I would tell them, to be transparent. Because the sins that I had been clinging to, Christ had died for long ago. The things I was trying to hide, God had forgotten long ago in Jesus Christ. And so I felt this freedom and this liberty that I had not experienced probably my entire life. Because I always felt like if someone found out the truth about me, I would be crushed. If someone found out that I don't know everything, or that I have a certain weakness, or I'm prone to certain temptations, or found out, that I had especially messed my life up big time, then it was over for me. I no longer experienced that because I began to realize what it means to live in forgiveness. To live in forgiveness is to cease living in fear that someone's going to find out you're a sinner. And that was a turning point for me. A turning point in which I no longer thought I've got to beat myself up to earn God's forgiveness. Jesus himself was beat up and crucified to earn that forgiveness for me. What I'd begun to do was to take Jesus' body off the cross and to put up there a mannequin that was full of my repentance and my shame and my confession and all of this stuff I was doing to engage in self-atonement. Take that off the cross and remember that Jesus was on that cross for me. His atonement, his blood, his life, and his death for the forgiveness of my sins, not anything that I've done. And then around this same time that I discovered freedom and liberty and forgiveness, one of the best things ever happened to me. This girl I went to high school with, she was starting a massage therapy school. I was friends with her on Facebook, and I sent her a message. She was living in East Texas at the time. Her name is Stacy. And that began a back and forth over the course of, 2 years? We finally decided we would get together, so we got together in Waco for a date, and then a few months later, we were married 11 plus years ago. Now, what God did through Stacy is what he does when he puts people into our lives that actually love us because they love us. It began to work healing. It wasn't a love that because I deserved it. It wasn't a love because I lived a perfect life. It was a love because it was love. And that began to be used by God to restore hope and joy and healing in my life. That was the turning point.